What's good, y'all? It's Solution back at it with another mental gym video in which I give you guys mental exercises you can use to become extremely successful and accomplish all the goals that you are after. So let's get right into it. So today I want to talk about listening and why listening is so important for you being able to accomplish your goals. And the definition I came up with for listening in the context of achieving your goals is taking in information from people who can help you achieve your goals. Key thing here, obviously, taking in information, right? Because we have to understand and realize that if we want to do things that we have not done, we have to know things that we do not know. And in order to do that, well, when we do that, or when we learn things that we don't know, we're taking in that information to do what? To apply it, to use it, right? Because your reality is controlled by how much knowledge you have. How much knowledge you have will control what you are capable of. That's why you go to school. That's why you get an education. This is why, well, at least for foreign parents, I guess everybody else's parents too, but this is why your parents make you go to school and the government makes you go to school because education is key for capability. If you don't know how to do something, you can't do it, right? But the route that I'm talking about with this and why listening is, I would say that this mental exercise is a lot more tactical in the sense of how it can help you achieve your goals because your ability to listen is what allows you to take in information that you can use. But a lot of us actually don't listen. A lot of us actually talk too much or don't even try to understand what other people are saying enough in order to make use of the information. Plus, when you are talking, you are not listening. Meaning, if you're not listening, you're not understanding. Meaning, you're not gaining new information. And we want to be able to gain new information to be able to achieve our goals. We don't want to just be talking the whole time because we are ignorant, meaning we are stupid, meaning we don't know things. We want to know things, right? But mainly when it comes to listening, right? Who do we listen to? Because I've made or I've mentioned it in many of my videos and have made a mental exercise on the value circle. And the value circle essentially is people who have information that you can use to help you achieve your goals. And these people come in three types of forms. The first type is people who have achieved what you want and they're giving out information that you can use, right? This could be through YouTube, through podcasts, wherever you get your information, or wherever you know this person is and they are giving information and they've achieved whatever you want for whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. That is the first type of person. The second type of person is someone who wants to achieve the same thing as you and you can work with them because sometimes you don't have direct access to the information or to the person who has achieved what you want. So the next best thing is to have somebody who at least wants to achieve the same thing as you so you guys can basically trade notes, trade experiences to become smarter, to become more knowledgeable and use the experiences that you guys trade to come to different conclusions that will help you achieve your goals, especially since you guys are working directly with each other. And the third type of person, which is usually the best type of person, is someone who's achieved what you want and you can work directly with them. Obviously, this is the best type of relationship, like master and student relationship, because this person can give you directly information that can help you achieve your goals and you are working directly with them. So, and they've already achieved what you want, so they would probably know everything or most things that you would need to know in order to accomplish your goals. So these would be essentially the people you listen to. But how do you listen and what should you do in order to listen? And that's what we get into the mental exercise for today. So when it comes to listening, obviously the people you listen to is people in your value circle, but you'll also have situations where you could just generally be around a lot of people who have achieved what you want. There could be events or other types of social gatherings where you could get around these people somehow. So you need to be able to navigate this situation properly. So getting into the mental exercise, the first part of this is questions, right? You see, guys, closed mouths do not get fed, right? And you have to understand you are ignorant and you do not know things. And how much you know will control how much you are capable of doing. If you do not know a lot, you will not be able to do a lot. So you want to know a lot and as much as possible. If you have not achieved the goals that you are after, you should be wanting to become as knowledgeable and as smart as possible in everything in the context that surrounds whatever goal you're trying to achieve. Why would you want to know less? if you know more, you can do more. That's why education is powerful. Like I was talking about earlier, you should be begging for knowledge. Because if you know everything, all that's left to do is do. But achieving goals is so hard because we don't know everything. We're not as knowledgeable as we possibly could be. That's why we seek people out who have achieved what we want so we can take information from them. And the way you take this information is by asking questions. So whenever you're around your value circle, which I just listed out the types of people who have information that could serve you, or you're just generally around people who are successful and have achieved what you want or are close to it or whatever, you should be asking questions. And I don't mean just asking random questions you do not care about. You should be asking meaningful, meaningful questions. Meaning questions that you actually want answers to. I don't feel like this is something I need to say to you guys, but it's just very important you're asking questions that actually matter to you, like that can actually help you in regards to your goals. There's no point in just asking random questions just because, for asking questions sake, for learning sake. You want to ask meaningful questions that are going to give you context around your current situation so you can make better decisions on your escalation up towards achieving your goal, right? Because you have your current situation. And if you ask people meaningful questions like, what do I believe right now that I shouldn't believe? Right? You can, like, you ask someone in your value circle or someone who has achieved what you want when you're at any of these social events or whatever, if you get access to them, you should be asking them questions like, what do I believe right now that I shouldn't believe? What would you do if you were in my current situation with my resources? Like, ask contextual questions, not like, oh, bro, how did you get here? What did you do? Like, ask questions that are relevant to your situation, that they can breathe information into you like, hey, this is what my current situation is. This is what I have done. What do you think would be a good step after this with my current resources and my current skills? What skills do I need to learn? Where are my weaknesses? What are the things I believe that I shouldn't believe? You should be asking deep, meaningful, contextual questions because this will make it easier for you to make decisions because they are where they already are, meaning they've already achieved the goal or whatever, and you are at wherever you're at. So just knowing about where they're at isn't going to help you. You need to ask questions relative to your current reality and current experiences, and they will educate you. They will give you information that can help you, right? As long as you make sure the questions are meaningful. I'm not saying when you're around these people who have done more than you and have achieved more than you and probably have more knowledge than you should be asking random, as many questions as possible and random ones. You should be asking as many questions as possible, but it should be quality, quantity. Meaning you should be asking as many meaningful questions as possible, meaning questions that can directly help your current situation and future situations that you will be in, because they will give you context. And by context, I mean information or things that surround your current situation or ideas and thoughts that you have not been able to have because you do not have the information or you don't have the context already to see what's going on. Because if someone has achieved what you want and they see where you're at, they can tell what your weaknesses, deficiencies are, and they can kind of see what they would do if they had your current resources. And that's the information you want. So you have a direct path upwards, right? Because you don't have the context. That's why you don't know exactly what you should be doing right now. And even if you think you do, you might be wrong about what you should be doing. You should be doing something else, right? So you want to ask as many meaningful questions as possible. But asking questions and getting answers is not enough. Asking questions and getting answers is not enough when it comes to becoming successful. The next and most important part of this mental exercise, or like mental exercise you're going to use to become more knowledgeable, is understanding, right? Like, and what do I mean by understanding? What I mean by understanding is application, right? Application. So, just because someone gives you an answer to one of your meaningful questions, it doesn't mean you understand it. Because knowledge is only as useful as its ability to be applied. knowledge is only as useful as its ability to be applied, guys. Because just because I tell you something, just because I tell you 2 plus 2 equals 4, if I show you 2 plus 2 equals and I tell you to solve the problem and you put 5, that means you didn't understand the knowledge I gave you, right? Meaning the knowledge that you think you have isn't actually there. Knowledge is only useful if you can apply it. So if you ask one of these meaningful questions to someone in your value circle or to someone at an event that you're at or a social event that you're at that's really successful, has achieved something similar or exactly what you want, and they give you an answer, you have to make sure you understand it. And understanding is based on application. So you have to ask yourself when they've given you an answer, can you apply directly what they said? Whatever they tell you, can you apply it immediately? If that person showed you 2 plus 2 is 4, if left up to your own devices, if you saw 2 plus 2 again, would you be able to make it equal 4? Or would you put 5 or 6? Because if you're asking yourself and you do not have confidence in your ability to apply whatever knowledge you've been given, you do not understand it. Because people who have achieved what you want have a lot of context already. So they might give you an answer that you're not able to immediately apply. Because if they say, let's say someone's a very successful business owner, they run $1 million business, right? And you ask them, how can I get to where you're at? Well, first they're like, and then they tell you, you need to go build a business. You're gonna be like, okay. But could you apply what he just told you? Could you just go build a business now? Probably not. So it means you did not understand what they just told you. Yes, they spoke words to you and it went into your ears and into your brain. Like you understood what they said, literally speaking, but you do not understand it in a useful goal achieving sense because you cannot apply what they just said. I hope this is really hitting your guys' noggin here because this is super important because I don't want you guys to listen for no reason. I don't want you guys to ask questions for no reason. I want you guys to listen and ask questions so you can get here, so you can apply. Because what is important about becoming successful is taking action and taking the right actions, taking the right steps to doing something. That's how you become successful. You must do. But you must do better, and you can do better by listening, asking questions that are meaningful, and understanding. And understanding is shown through application. So if somebody tells you something if somebody who's really successful has achieved what you want at any of these social events, or someone in your value circle tells you something, you have to make sure you can apply what they just said. So if they just told you something and you're like, I know for a fact I cannot apply what they just said, you have to ask them to elaborate. Ask them to say what they said simpler. Obviously, you say it in a respectful manner, of course. But you ask them like, hey, okay, that makes sense, but like, how can you make that actionable, like for me? Like, what is the step I need to take? Right? Can you say it like simpler for me to understand? Because I'm where I'm at and you're where you're at, and I might not understand exactly what to do. And let's say you don't have an unlimited amount of time with this person, of course, because let's say you're at a social event where this person obviously has other stuff going on. You can't just have unlimited access to them. Same thing with people in your value circle in certain instances. You want to jot down or write down whatever they told you to do, right? And then you are going to have the responsibility of trying to break it down and make it applicable for yourself. Because you still have to work hard. You're not going to be able to just go to people who've achieved what you want and ask them for information and they're going to tell you a quick hack or trick and make you successful. You still have to do the work. And that includes where if they say something that is probably very valuable, but you do not understand it yet, meaning you're not able to apply it yet, you need to jot it down. You have your notes app on your phone. If you want to bring a physical notebook to wherever you're going, just make sure you remember what they said and jot it down. And then when you're back to your own personal alone time, you can take that time to really understand what they said. Really look at what they said and be like, okay, this guy told me to start a business. That's what he said. To get to where he's at, he said start a business. Well, I don't really understand how to apply that. So how do you start a business? What do you do to do that? Okay, well, I guess I need to get people to buy my stuff, right? I need to have something to sell to people so people can buy it. Okay, so that means I need to figure out how to sell stuff and how to get people to buy stuff from me. You see how you're gonna have to personally break down this stuff because they did give you good advice. To get to $1 million business, you have to start a business. They gave you advice that probably works for your current situation because you don't have a business, but you were not able to apply it immediately. So you had to go personally do the work of understanding what they said. If you do not have unlimited time with that person, right? If someone is in your value circle, you're usually going to consistently have access to these people. But specifically for the types of people, the people who want to achieve what you want, you can work with them, and also the people who have achieved what you want and you can directly work with them, right? And then the first type of person who's someone who's achieved what you want, but you only have direct like access to the information that they give out. You're obviously not going to have direct content or direct context, and you're not going to be able to just get direct information from them about your specific situation. You're not going to be able to ask deep, meaningful questions unless they allow it for whatever platform they're on, if they do questionnaires or Q&As or whatever. But you guys kind of get the point with that. You're going to have to do the work here. If you ask questions that are meaningful, they could break it down immediately to you in a way that's understandable and actionable. And I hope that's what I'm doing with my videos, right? But if they do not do that, it's up to you to do the work to break down what they said. If you do not consistently have access to them. Obviously, if someone wants to achieve the same thing as you and you're working with them, if you misunderstand something they say, you can always ask them follow-up questions for them to break it down simpler so you can actually act on the knowledge and information. Or if someone has achieved what you want and you directly work with them, you could do the same thing with them. It's just more difficult with someone who's achieved what you want and they're just giving information out, just free information that's just like everywhere, and you can't have direct access to them to ask specific questions about your current situation. So going through it one more time, what is listening? Listening is taking in information from people who can help you achieve your goals. Information is powerful because it's what you will use to achieve your goals. The more you know, the more you can do. The reason why your reality or situation might feel limited or you might feel scarce right now is just because you don't know enough. You just do not know enough information in order to become as successful as you want to be. That's why you should be begging and seeking for new information so that you can get to the point where you're able to apply it. You want to be able to get to the point where you're able to apply it because that's what makes the information worthwhile taking it in. But you take in the information from people who can help you achieve your goals, then you ask questions. Closed mouths do not get fed 100%. But when I say ask questions, you want to ask as many meaningful questions as possible. You want quality, quantity in the questions that you ask. Don't just ask whatever pops up in your mind. Make sure there's a purpose and reason to the question you are asking and come up with as many of those as possible with the time that you have with maybe someone at these personal events. If you get invited to one, or if you get into one of these situations, you want to ask as many meaningful questions as possible. And also one thing I forgot to add, shut up. Like, be quiet. Who cares about you? Because a problem that a lot of us get into, even when we've achieved a few things, is we want to toot our horn. We want to have our egos get involved. Be like, yeah, I've done this. Like when you get to these events or around people who are also successful, we just have this need, or a lot of us guys have this need because we're guys, we're competitive. We have this need to be like, oh yeah, I did all this, I've done this, I've achieved that or whatever. But who gives a fuck? You want to become extremely successful. You want to achieve more. And you can't do that if your mouth is moving. Who cares about what you've done? Who cares about how successful you are currently, whatever you've done or whatever you've achieved? You want to be able to achieve more. And that means you need to listen. You cannot get valuable information if you are talking. You cannot understand valuable information if you're too busy yapping about yourself. Who gives a fuck about you and what you have done? You want to do more, so you need to listen more and gain more knowledge. The people who are talking so much are not learning anything. This is why it's important to be quiet. Focus on asking meaningful questions. That's the only reason why you should be opening your mouth around these people who are in your value circle, or when you're around people who have achieved what you want or are relative to you and you can get valuable information from them potentially. You need to shut up. Beyond pleasantries, when you're introducing yourself like, hey, I do this, blah, blah, blah. Outside of that, shut up. Only focus on asking meaningful questions that are going to give you meaningful answers in return that you'll be able to understand. And if you do not understand it, you take that information, you write it down, you jot it down wherever you want to take notes or however you want to take notes. You have the freedom to do that. So you can break it down to make sure you can apply it, guys. Don't just yap. Who cares about what you have done? You want to become more successful. You want to be able to achieve much more. So you have to continue to listen more. And that's pretty much my listening mental exercise. I believe this is really important, guys, and I just want to tell you a quick story with this. So I remember when I was in my ninth grade English class, I had a teacher named Miss Dibler, and she really like changed my life and honestly just the trajectory of my life through something like this. So basically, in that English class, I mean I was kind of like the class clown type, but I had like a serious side to me. Like I used to ask a shit ton of questions, like to understand the assignments, to understand exactly what she wants us to do with these assignments. I used to ask or answer a lot of questions in class and everything, and people used started to make fun of me for it. They're like, "Bro, why do you care about this? Why are you asking these questions? Who gives a fuck or whatever?" And then I remember after one class period, she came to me and she was like, "Keep doing what you're doing." I was like, "Hmm?" She was like, "Keep doing what you're doing. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna be extremely successful." And it's just such a pivotal moment in my high school like career, I guess, because I was like, damn, like she really believed I was like doing a very, very good thing. And that like strongly reinforced that behavior. And ever since that moment, I've been a glutton for knowledge. I want to become so wise. I've become addicted to like philosophy and wisdom, and it's honestly changed my life because it's given me so much context I need to make really good decisions in my life. And being a very good decision maker is just extremely powerful, guys. If you can make very good decisions, you will get very good outcomes. And just that moment of her telling me that, like, really big shout out to her because, like, she really changed my life saying that to me because it just made me want to ask more meaningful questions and ask more and more and more until there was nothing left to ask, which will never be nothing left to ask because answering or asking a question will lead to more questions, and that's just the beautiful cycle of wisdom and knowledge. And the more you know, the more you can do, the more abundant your life feels. And because of her telling me that, like, my life feels so abundant now, I feel like I can do so much because I feel like I know so much with so much more to learn. And it's just generally very beautiful, and I want to like impart that belief into you guys. Like, guys, ask more meaningful questions, especially from the people who've achieved what you want, or around the goals that you want to achieve, because they have information you might not have that will make you smarter, give you more context, give you more options to be able to achieve the goals that you guys are after, y'all. So please, please make sure you're asking meaningful questions and you're making sure you understand what you're asking, or not understanding what you're asking, or understanding what the information people give you. And you do not know you understand it until you can apply it. If you cannot apply what you know, you do not know it. It's not knowledge yet. It's knowledge once you can apply it, bro. So make sure you're asking those meaningful questions and you're seeking knowledge. And also, please give me feedback on this. Did this make sense? Was this simple enough to understand? Are you now going to shut up? Please be quiet, please. Are you now going to be quiet and make sure you're actually listening to the people who are speaking when you're around people who have achieved more than you and are really successful, and it can impart information to you that can help you out a lot? Or you could say, "Solution, this was stupid. I already listen well," or "I don't listen well." Or you could have explained this way better. You could have made it simpler, more actionable, that could have better served me, as in you, who's on the other side of this screen. You could have explained this in a way better way. Whatever you got to say, drop it down in the comments. It all helps me become a better YouTuber so I can make better mental exercises that are simpler and more actionable so you guys can become more and more successful. And if you liked it, please, please, please like the video, boost this in the algorithm so more guys can see this. Make sure they are listening properly, taking in information, asking meaningful questions, and understanding it, and proving that they understanding it, or that they understand it, by applying said information. And with that being said, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next Mental Gym video. Peace.